Hi, everybody. Joe Chaffee and Joe Rayo at 1 o'clock Eastern Time in the early afternoon. Normally, we're on at 7 o'clock every night, but given we are dealing with Isaias moving up the East Coast, we figured we'll do our update now as the heavy weather moves into our area. Some of you folks that are watching are already into the heavy weather. And so far, Joe, everything seems to be playing according to plan. The heaviest rain has been along and west of the track. The strongest winds have been east of the track with less rain. I don't know if you noticed this morning, a lot of tornadoes down in the over the Delmarva Peninsula. I was amazed at how many tornado warnings were up. I think I saw 6 up at one time earlier a few hours ago. Now, of course, all of this is moving up the coast, and it's a 4 to 6 hour period of rough weather. It'll be what it'll be, and then it moves out this evening.
Yeah, that area of tornadic activity, Joe, lines up very well with the FGen. If you go to the 12Z GFS this
Okay,
morning,
give me a
uh,
moment.
it's unfortunate that the GFS doesn't go in 1 hour increments like the NAM does, but you can see readily this very compact area in eastern Pennsylvania and Maryland at 8 o'clock this morning, and the way it just literally jumps from where it was at eight
Which one do
o'clock.
you want, the 700 or 850 FGen?
I usually do the 700. That's the one that I usually rely on more than the 850. But you could just see how this thing just sweeps or jumps or leapfrogs
Oh, look
in
at that.
six
Yeah.
hours right through our area. In fact, in theory, it should be moving through the tri-state area right now. So whatever's going to happen in terms of
Excuse me.
convection and possible tornadic activity is probably happening or will happen right now.
Here's the maps, folks. Yeah, you got to watch me blow my nose there, which was exciting. But that's what Joe's talking about there. Those purple circles all wrapped up together, like a giant bullseye, just moved up. And that area, by the way, that you see, they got pounded with rain. There were some places west of Philadelphia that I saw 6, 7 inch rainfall amounts. And if this were moving slower, rain would be. We could have gotten into a situation like we saw with Irene or with Floyd, but not the case because of the fact that it's moving along. So as long as it keeps moving, we get that 4 to 6 hour window of rough weather and done. And by the way, Joe, taking a look at the radar, because everybody, of course, is not. Everybody's watching from different areas. This radar shot loop is about an hour or so old. I'm going to give it a quick refresh here, and hopefully it'll cooperate. And there it is. So you'll note the arm that's out in the coastal waters. That's the arm of severe weather that's sweeping northward. We have the rains are now over with in Delaware, and for the most part in the southern third of New Jersey. There's a little bit of leftover rain left in leftover rain left. There's a bit of leftover rain in northeastern Maryland. That's about to come out. Still raining pretty hard across most of the eastern half of Pennsylvania, particularly when you go east of I-81 and over toward Philadelphia, Allentown, and Scranton, and so on. Northern New Jersey raining very hard. Raining very hard. It should be coming down pretty good where you are.
Oh yeah,
At this,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
because it's been coming down in spurts, and it's been vacillating from torrential to heavy to moderate, and then back to torrential. It's been that kind of a pattern up here. And I might also point out, Joe, the last tropical system we had was Faye, and if you remember, my rain gauge malfunctioned and was not giving any readings right after the storm. My son actually climbed the ladder and was able to clear out some debris in the rain bucket. And I actually, believe it or not, did it this morning because the rain gauge, it looked like it was malfunctioning again. And apparently, what the problem is the tipping bucket within the weather station itself that is not functioning properly. Because I cleaned out the cup, so to speak, but in order to get it to function again, I literally would have to take the whole unit down, open it up, clean it, fix the bucket. I wasn't about to do that when I was only about an hour or two away from a tropical cyclone. So for the second time, both tropical cyclones or both tropical systems that have affected my area, my rain gauge just
And that happens.
and that happens. Yes.
Exactly. I'm going to pull up a couple of local radars. Look at by. Oh, there's a little flash there on this loop where it says radar temporarily unavailable on this is on the Mount Holly radar. Look at all those boxes. Those are all warnings of one form or another. They all look like green boxes, so they're probably flash flood. They're all flash flood warnings, except for the one that's southeast, right over New York City. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. But you got a ton of flash flood warnings. Again, it's all left of the track that's getting the big rain, and it's no shocker to anyone. I'll go to the let's move up to the Upton radar. And we'll just give it a moment here to load. And you can see that arm that's coming in. Looks like I should be getting ready to go torrential here in a moment. There's a special marine warning and a severe thunderstorm warning up. The heavy rains up in northern New Jersey. Oh, Mr. Rayo, did Mr. Rayo lose power? Because I think I lost Mr. Rayo. All right, I think Joe has lost. Joe must have taken some kind of power hit because he has disappeared. This was actually going to not be a big surprise that happened. So I will carry on unless he's able to come back. So when I see him, I will admit him back into the live stream. But there you can see the eastern part of this radar. Don't forget, folks, the local radars all have a limited range. So the rain doesn't necessarily shut off or end over some of the geography. You just have to go back. The Mount Holly radar gives always a pretty good angle of coverage, as you can see from Delaware to southern New England on this. I'm going to drop down one radar to the Dover Air Force Base radar and take a look at what's happening here. And you see the rotation is so very clear. The center of this is still over the Delmarva Peninsula and moving northward, northeastward. So there is going to be more work to do here with regards to wind and the heavier thunderstorms. You see those red echoes; those were tornado producers earlier, and in fact, on the Dover Loop, you can actually see a few of those red boxes there. Those were tornado warnings that have come and gone. There is an area-wide tornado watch that's in effect. Wakefield, Virginia radar, which gives us a fairly good view of areas just south of Washington, D.C., is not showing very much of anything. So we know that they're done from the standpoint of the rain and the wind. This is again, back to Dover. So let's see. I'm trying to get to the Wakefield radar. Let's see if this one will give it to me. There you go. Here's the Wakefield, Virginia radar. And I was just there. All right, let's go straight north to Dover, and let's go one west. Maybe that'll help me. There we go. Sterling, Virginia. In the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. This should show you at least the back edge of what was down in D.C. and Baltimore. You can see all of it done in Maryland now, virtually all done in Delaware. And we'll go up one more radar to south central Pennsylvania. And we'll take a look at what's going on in the back edge here. So it looks like it's out of Harrisburg, areas around Lancaster, York, Harrisburg, some places picking up about half a foot of rain out of this today. So that part of the equation is winding down. Now I want to take a look. Let's see what's going on if this map behaves itself as far as wind gusts are concerned. And let's get this to freshen up a few obs. I did see a gust close to 70. I saw Ship Bottom. I was told Ship Bottom, New Jersey, down not too far from Atlantic City, recorded a gust of 109 miles an hour. I don't know how real that is. It was given to me by a reliable source, so I mean I trust that that's what they saw. I just wonder whether that was a real number or not. But no matter. Certainly, have been seeing gusts into the 60s. Up and down the New Jersey coast. One spot, let's see what this spot is here. This is Beach Haven, gusting to 65. We have a lot of gusts in the upper 40s to mid 50s. Barnegat Inlet is 26, gusting to 49. I'm going further up the coast toward Uh, Monmouth Beach, 22 sustained, gusting to 42. A little further south from there, it's Seagirt, it's gusting to 54. So the winds have been very busy for sure. The inland winds, they're gusting as well. There have been some gusts in some areas. I noticed gusts in the Chesapeake Bay area up to about 50 miles an hour at times. And Mr. Rayo is coming back. And did you take a power hit?
Hello.
Hi. Did you
We
take
had a
did you take a power hit?
Yes, indeed, we did. We got hit, but it came back. So here I am again.
No shocker there. Just looking at some of the wind reports so far. I mean, there's a lot of spots in South Jersey, from Cape May north to Atlantic City and up through Ocean County that are gusting between 50 and 65 miles an hour. I'm going back down into Delaware just to give you the idea of what happens on the backside. Once the low center goes by, the winds drop off relatively quickly. I mean, they're still gusting over 30 to 35 miles an hour in some places, but in Chesapeake Bay, which was gusting up close to into the low 50s earlier, they're down now into the low 30s and 20s as far as gusts. So this goes to the argument, Joe, that I was saying yesterday. This is good. This comes in really fast. The wind just spins up, not quite as fast as it would say in an approaching line of thunderstorms, but it'll go to gales if it hasn't already, and then you'll see those winds drop off relatively quickly once it goes by. Just looking at some of the winds on the Long Island South Shore, seeing some gusts now here. Not by me so much, because I'm on the North Shore, but on the South Shore, seeing some gusts into the 30 to 45 mile an hour range. Oh, that's a nice sustained wind. What spot is that's at West Gilgo Beach? Is 42 sustained, gusting to 57. It's
Wow.
not too shabby. So it's after two. It's really after 2 p.m. that the winds really start to rev up over Long Island and in Long Island Sound and in coastal Connecticut. Seeing Joe in just west of Bridgeport at Fairfield on the shore there. Wind 30, gusting to 45. So we're seeing the Long Island Sound wind, some gust to 40 in around New York City. LaGuardia, there's an odd there. It's not LaGuardia, but it's near LaGuardia, a gust of 55. So I don't know whose station that is.
Hmm.
And Teterboro gusting to 46. So we're really starting to see the winds. The winds are beginning to kick in.
And my wife on the chat board just posted that, yeah, we're okay where we are, just a big power blink, but there are now, Joe, 600,000 in New Jersey without power so far.
And climbing. And if they're without power, Joe, that means that they're not watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
Well, it's their problem.
Correct. All right, so everything's pretty much on course. So these were some of the older maps that I had with regards to the rainfall that the WBPC had put up, and of course this was an earlier forecast of theirs, so which they actually updated and shifted the 1 inch rain area a little bit further to the east, which probably made some sense. But that's all done, and we can also, as far as the forecast track is concerned, it looks like this thing has been from the onset that we've been watching this track just sort of slowly shift slightly left, slightly left, slightly left. And indeed, that was the case. I don't think this was ever going to be, there ever was a real possibility of this moving out to the northeast and not really bothering anybody, given how deep the upper trough was.
Yeah, the way things are moving on the radar, Joe, and again, we said that the storm itself is moving at like 30 to 40 miles per hour. And I would not be surprised if, let's see, it's a quarter after one. I would be surprised if where I am, we'll be done with this by about 2:15 or 2:30. It's really zooming along.
Oh,
Of
you
course,
mean that southern edge?
yeah, and the radar right now is showing that central and southern Jersey, other than wind problems, it looks like southern and central Jersey are pretty well done with this in terms of precipitation for the rest of the day.
You know what? I want to go. Let me go back to that. Let me just go back to that wind map here. Hang on 1 second. The winds are all south and southeast. I'm just going down. Let's go down into southern New Jersey. Now the winds have turned. in southwest Jersey, they've gone northwest and west. So the southern half of New Jersey, and then you go a little bit further to the north, you head up towards southern Ocean County. The winds are either south southeast or south southwest. I'm trying to just kind of figure out from the wind where exactly the center of this is, and then those winds really just kind of you start to see the wind barbs turning and the winds going a little lighter. Looks like the actual center is probably without seeing the pressure, Joe. Look, I would guess, just judging from the wind field, that the actual center is probably near or just to the west of Trenton at the moment.
Right, right. I would agree. I would agree. And because I know that I believe it was the GFS that had predicted at 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's from off of the 6Z run. That by 2 o'clock, the center of the storm would be up near Sussex County, New Jersey, and northwest New Jersey. And indeed, normally you'd say, well, that's still a few hours away. But the way this thing is trucking at maybe 40 miles an hour, it could very easily be up there by two
Yeah.
o'clock if it's just west or northwest of
And
Trenton.
and you know what? The good news with that is the fact that let that happen that way, because at least this way we don't have it coming in with the high tide tonight. By then the winds will have gone to the west, and tidal flooding will not be an issue. So
Right.
the fact that this is moving faster is actually very good news from the standpoint of coastal flooding. And of course you're seeing that very heavy rain up, looks like along and west of the Hudson, getting clobbered with heavy rain up through the Catskills and into upstate New York. It's amazing how far west the rain shield wound up being from what we started out with, getting into almost into central Pennsylvania. And the rainfall amounts, as we said, have been pretty substantial.
Yeah, and I did a double take when I went to the National Hurricane Center and looked at their. Actually, it's not their forecast; it's WPC's QPF forecast, and they had virtually hardly anything of significance from about New York City on east. All the hefty stuff was off to the west and really concentrated over in eastern Pennsylvania. Where, by the way, my brother-in-law, on sent us a couple of texts saying, "Boy, it's coming down to beat the band here," and
Hmm.
I'm sure that there are going to be places in eastern Pennsylvania before this is all over that's going to be in excess of 4, maybe even upwards of 6 inches.
All right, so let's run through let's just really quick run through the models. This gonna try. Let's keep this. We'll keep this show up out to about 30 minutes, and then we'll wrap things up, folks. We'll probably be back tonight at 7 for a wrap up. Of course, I'm just bringing up. Actually, the model I probably should use. We'll go to the HRRR and see what it has to say. And here it is at 1 o'clock with the low west of Trenton, and it just kind of jumps. I don't know why it does this, but it actually the low center pushes east, and then you see it just kind of lift up into northern New Jersey by 4 o'clock. And up by you, Joe, the low center at 5 o'clock, and of course by then the rain is already lifted well to the north. This
I just
is
should mention, Joe, we're blinking again here, so if I
might lose you again at any moment.
yeah,
Yeah, and my wind, I'm looking out my window. The wind here is starting to really howl from the south southeast. But it'll go up and out, and then we're done, and then we can get weather conditions will improve very quickly tonight into tomorrow, and that is a good that's good. We need a break. It's been you're running through the last couple of days, getting all of this. Sort of the prep time is where we spend most our time doing the most work, and then we just let the storm just sort of play itself out. Here's this is the HRRR from I just backed it up a couple of frames here. It's from 16Z, so you can see the storm center, how it behaves with respect to the wind field, and the wind field is just now. At 2 o'clock is when you see the maximum winds along the New Jersey coast and off the south shore of Long Island and into Long Island Sound, and those continue into this evening, and then they relax after that. So I guess Joe just disappeared again with another power loss. So bottom line is, folks, we're just going to go through the rest of the afternoon, let everything play through the way it plays through, and then we'll be over and done with. Isaias will go up into New England, and just a quick look at what to expect as we move through the next couple of days. And I'm going to come up to the chat board in just a second, just to wrap things up. The GFS here, you can see that pulls out, so it looks like the weather's going to be relatively quiet for the rest of the week. Maybe a weak system with some scattered storms on Thursday, late Thursday, and again late Friday. And for now, the weekend into next week is looking pretty good, and probably looking to get very warm to hot and humid, as we were looking for a ridge to build in the east. So Rayo has disappeared on me. I was actually hoping to get John Marshall. You have seen John Marshall over the years on probably any one or all of the television stations in New York City. I think he may have worked for them all, except at one point, except for Channel 7, WABC. But he told me that he was having electric power issues as well, and that the power would if it was up, he would call in, and if it wasn't, he would try perhaps at another time. The chairman, Scott Briller's down in South Jersey, where I think the sun is probably out. Yes, it is. And I'm guessing that you had gusts up into the 50s and 60s. Nice to see Shelly Man Studios on the chat board today. David Schwartz, William Uber down the block, trying to catch whatever rain he can in the bucket with the boilerplate that sits over us. And Timothy Veltman on, Mrs. Rayo, of course, passing on observations from her vantage point, and we love those, of course. And that's it. So I think what we're going to do is Joe's probably not going to be able to come back. That pretty much updates everything as far as what's going on is concerned. We'll just the next couple of hours, for me, it's the next 4 or 5 hours with the wind and whatever shower and thunderstorm activity that we get, and that will be that. So